Hello, divine beings. It's Saint M3 of Day, they, them pronouns, and welcome to another The Other Side podcast. So, today we're going to be talking about trauma. And as always, I'm going to open up this space, setting the intention that I'm a clear, pure channel of the highest love, the highest light, the highest truth, and the highest wisdom for the highest good of all, that as you hear me and exist in this energetic space with me, you may receive the clarity, the guidance, the vibrational support that you need to embody your fullest, freest, best self, your higher self, y'all, in unity with Source. I am channeling pure Source energy, so for those of you who choose to accept this transmission and this vibrational energy, simply say yes in your heart. You're always that choice. So you can choose yes to say yes or no, turning on and off that flow of energy to you. So you remain in energetic sovereignty. You are always in choice. And I set the intention to remain my to sustain my energetic integrity, thanking my spiritual team for helping me maintain energetic sovereignty as I channel today. He said. So y'all, guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Monkey butt. Oh my goodness. I say that because for me, one of the symptoms of conditions of trauma that I have healed was an overactive mind racing. And for those folks in the meditation space, they think that there's this metaphor of the mind being akin to a monkey that jumps around and jumps around and jumps around. Pew, 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 pew. From one thought to the next. We have millions of thoughts a day, y'all. Some of us do. Until you cleanse and clear and purify your thought forms in your mental body, which is associated with your solar plexus, and you're able to slow down your mind and remain in the present moment with a heart-centered awareness. And this relates to pinpointing trauma-related symptoms and conditions. Now, I had many things that from the outside looking in, one would be like, well, dang, they just sick, right? I have healed myself from 15 plus chronic conditions, and I no longer use labels and terminologies towards myself, because what you label yourself, you're inviting in that energy in its totality into your life. So if you say that you have, for example, diabetes, then you're inviting that energy consciousness into your being, and you will and continue to experience it, right? So I disavow myself of all Western labels. I experience certain things, but I'm not labeling myself in that way. And one of the things that I thought I had was this label of ADHD and autism. And now technically I fit I experience the majority of the symptoms or the categorization of autism and ADHD. Technically, I am divergent, neurodivergent. It's safe for me to say that. My brain works differently. I function differently. I think differently than your average, typical human brain. A person does. And this is all to say that when it comes to trauma, there were many things that were so interwoven with my experience of my trauma, of trauma in the past, because it's not my trauma, of trauma in the past, that I had there were all these labels being thrown at me, and all these conditions being put on me, even though I could fit the experience of them. And so when it comes to pinpointing the underlying causation of it, really many of them, like especially the mind racing, y'all. Let me get to that one. was because of I was traumatized in the past. I was dealing with trauma, childhood trauma, ancestral trauma, being in this black body, coming from a low relative poverty, first generation Nigerian American immigrant born in Nigeria that grew up in the hood of Oakland before Oakland became the Oakland we know today, where people didn't want to. There were certain places in Oakland people just didn't go to. Now those places are worth out millions of dollars. Those homes. And then dealing with all the intergenerational things of coming from a lineage that experienced civil war in the 60s, where millions died, and then the Atlantic slave trade, where millions were taken. And then you keep going back and back and back, and it does go back, y'all, hundreds of thousands of years. So point being, when I say and I talk about trauma and the perspective of trauma, that Western science and Western medicine is finally saying, oh, trauma is the root of chronic health conditions. That's a start. And I say, well, it's not the trauma per se, because one can experience a traumatic experience and not be traumatized. It is the unresolved energy from that experience within your subtle bodies. You have 7 subtle bodies according to the Vedic system associated with the 7 chakras. And so when you're pinpointing and trying to pinpoint, okay, you're experiencing all these symptoms and conditions and all of these things that just seem to be going wrong with the body and the mind, and you're just feeling unwell, how do you get to the root? What do you actually do? And that's what I want to talk about, because I say it can happen, but I want to paint the picture in a way that's clearer for how you actually get to the root of the trauma-related symptoms and conditions that are, for most people, it is that unresolved energies causing your symptoms and conditions, your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual imbalances and experience of illness and dis-ease. And it's all about being able to interact with the quantum field, as they call it in quantum physics. The quantum field is the field of subtle energy where everything exists and nothing exists. And one can enter the quantum to do things like quantum surgery or to alter one's DNA. I have actually done that before, y'all. I've altered my DNA. I have made changes to my emotional body, my mental mind. I have literally rewired certain neurons in my mind in doing this work. And in doing it, it was around being able to access the quantum field. And the quantum field is the unseen. It is the unseen for most people. There are folks who can't see the quantum field. It is the aspects of society that exist on such a subtle energy level, like subtle energies, gravitational fields, the different waves that make up our universe. It is the spiritual realm, y'all. You have the quantum field. The quantum field is the spiritual realm. They are one and the same. I like to use quantum field because, it's science, and I'm all about bridging the science and the material. So I will also say the spiritual realm, but the quantum is more precise for those who are into the science. It's being able to access those realms, the realms which for most is commonly unseen. But everyone can access the quantum field, and the one way that you can do it for yourself is through visualization. This is why I I've been a proponent of visualization meditation because when I was learning how to do this intergenerational trauma resolution, when I was learning how to go into my subconscious mind and shift energies and then do it for the collective, it was through visualization meditation, which some call soul journeying, some call astral traveling, right? Depending on the level in which you're experiencing it. But your imagination is the gateway to the quantum field, is the gateway to the spiritual realm. This is why it's there's a saying that there's a thin line between imagination and intuition. This is why children being able to be in tune with your inner child, it is so important in living a happy, fulfilled life, because children, y'all, not only are they innocent, but their imagination, their minds are literally the closest, when you're a child, one of the closest to the quantum field and the divine realm. It's why kids have imaginary friends, y'all. Most of the time they're talking to their spiritual team. Little do you know. Now you know. That's what I was doing. They imagine things, but what they're doing is tapping into the quantum field, which is this field of energy where everything exists and can be tapped in and tuned into depending on your ability to vibrate at the level of those energies. And so from a trauma perspective, being able to get into that meditative state and access the quantum field simply requires creating that sacred space, connecting to your sacred self, y'all. Your higher self, your spiritual team, and then doing the work. It's like meditations, you see them online. It's like meet your inner child, meet your shadow, visualize it, guided meditations, which take you through healing of the past or moving into the forward and doing timeline work. All of these you're accessing the quantum field. And the thing about the quantum field is what is changed in the quantum field will change in your field. And so you're making changes to your energy, to your subtle energy bodies. And this was the foundation, the root of how I started doing the work that I was doing. And of course, I was led and guided. I received initiation as a master of wisdom in spirit, working primarily, the first level was working primarily with the primordial force of water. We are predominantly water, y'all. So, and working on alchemizing and learning through the using of water to alchemize energies, because energies flow like water. And being water beings, it is important to understand the connection between your emotions and energies in your water. Drink water, folks. And with that, I'm gonna take a water break. $17:17 on the clock, and I just saw 13:13. This is a major time, y'all, of spiritual growth and transformation. After 13 is a symbol, or rather a number of transformation. It being twice is a magnification of that. 13:13, 17:17. So new beginnings. After a major transformation, you're experiencing a spiritual awakening right now. At the tail end of a spiritual awakening is the message that I'm getting for those of you watching the collective. And this information I'm giving you is assisting you in being able to understand how to live in better ease within your system holistically, right? Because when you attend to your spiritual health, it will be reflected in your mental and physical health. They're all one and the same, but just different aspects and pieces. Your spiritual is reflected within your physical, and your physical and mental also help reflect your spiritual. Remember, I said spiritual, but quantum. What's going on in your quantum field, on the quantum of you, is an expression of the mental and the physical. And so being able to access the quantum in this way, do it in guided meditation, whether it be through connecting with your own spiritual team and being guided in that way, each and every one of us has the power within ourselves to heal ourselves. We have the power within our hands to be in harmony within. It isn't just accessing the quantum, right, and changing the energies. Because you change the energies, you still have to change the way you live and how you act, because the way you lived and how you act from before is associated with the version of you that was experiencing that imbalance. So all of it is, it's a holistic perspective, y'all, that I put out into the world, where I'm not just not saying it's all about the energy work. No, it's the energy work, it's the mental, the health work. It's taking care of your emotional self, it's taking care of your physical self, your energetic self. Your energetic self is not the same as your spiritual self. Your energetic self is your literal energies that are associated with the different aspects of your vessel, your physical vessel, and your energy centers. Your spiritual self is your soul that sits at the higher heart chakra. Your connection to source within. They say the God within, whatever you want to call it, the Allah within, the Yahweh within. It is your portal to your higher self, your first refraction of source, and the other past, present, parallel lifetimes that exist of you. And taking care of that and living in purpose is the big one there. Living in purpose and following the guidance of your higher self, your intuition. Knock, knock, your intuition. That's how you get the guidance. That's how you know how to drive. That's the inner GPS that points you to the north, that says that way. And I saw 1717 yet again. It's what's going to be creating that new spiritual beginning after this transformation. It's what cements your spiritual awakening. Otherwise, you're just going to be the same person as before. And so when you're guided to make a choice, when you're guided to move forward, when you're guided to make a decision, you got to listen. And I say this for you and for me. Some of us are headstrong here, We do things a certain way, and then, you hold on to it because it's a part of your identity. But I'm here to tell you, what is not aligned will go either gently or with a hard blow. It's your choice. So that turned into a message. Someone needed to hear that. And I say all that to go back to the initial point of when we pinpoint things related to trauma or symptoms and conditions, our society will just let's treat your diabetes. Let's treat your mental health. Let's treat your inflammation. Let's treat your hair loss. We'll treat that. But that's not pinpointing what's the underlying cause. Because when you experience, for example, I'll use myself as an example. This is something that goes way, way, way back. My my grandma died 7 days before my birth mother gave birth to my twin brother and I. 7 days before, y'all. You can say the grief triggered the giving birth, right? So there was a lot of grief that she was experiencing during that time. And having to raise 2 children. When our Igbo culture, when you have your first child, your mother comes to take care of you and give you help for the first month or 2 and cooks certain foods to help you regain strength and health and vitality. And she didn't have that. And so it was revealed to me in meditation that part of it, the oral fixation that I was healing from, was because my mother wasn't in the space all the time to not only feed twins, but have enough milk for twins and receive what she needed. because there wasn't really anyone to take care of her in that way. She didn't have that support system. And so not the experience of not getting enough, not feeling that I was getting enough. I was also born like I was like 5 pounds, y'all. I was 5 pounds. I was tiny. And my brother was even tinier. So that experience of the mouth sensation of like, I want milk, but I'm not getting, I want more. But, you have a human body who's at a capacity that they can give what they give, created this oral fixation of needing to chew, to there's a word I'm looking for. To regulate energies through chewing. That's something I realized about myself. I chew. Chewing can help me process informations and energies. It's also something associated with the experience of what some may call autism. I flap. I do a lot of things to process and regulate my energies, but it's just chewing we're talking about here. And, or rather, autism. So when I was getting to the pinpoint, I was trying to figure out where this was, because I was getting this experience of it, like when I was feeling anxious or stressed, it's like this need to chew. Not really eat, but to chew. And so I had to get to the root and pinpoint it and say, that's where it came from. Well, let's shift that. Let's do our quantum field work, whether it be visually. I personally, when I'm doing work, I am looking at the energy fields. I'm looking at the waves themselves, and I'm shifting that. I used to do it through visualization, and now I've gotten into a more detailed level. So I was able to shift it and pinpoint this is where it's from. And this created that space where when I did experience a lot of trauma and abuse as a kid and traumatic experiences, that oral fixation combined with not being able to healthily process the experiences created in the past an addiction to, let's say, sugar. It's not let's say, but I'm not addicted to sugar anymore. So that's like in the past. And so there were certain things that were built on it, because as I went to the root, I followed the root forward to my present day, and I saw the ways that it was being expressed and interwoven with other traumatic experiences and all of these things. But I was able to pinpoint it to the point now that I have rewritten that oral fixation. I'm no longer associating it with stress and anxiety. I can choose differently because those energies are not expressed within my field, within my subtle energies bodies. So this is, again, the trauma of, as a child, as a baby, of not getting enough, not getting enough milk, and then combined with the childhood trauma created as that child in my childhood, that sweets craving and addiction, using that as to nurture and to soothe, which I am free of now. And so this no longer has control over me or my happiness or my being. And so when I say let's get to the root, it's pinpointing energetically what's happening, and then seeing the different ways it's expressed as you clear it. And then taking that, again, that's the back end approach, right? The software program is updated. Taking that UIX approach, which is the front end of what you're actually seeing, and saying like, okay, what are the actions and behaviors now that are being called on me to shift, to be more aware of, to be conscious of, to change within myself? And that front end, while in this situation would be, experiencing stress and anxiety, feeling it within myself, leaning into it, and then self-soothing and nurturing in a way that was beneficial for my vessel, taking a walk, talking kindly and gently to myself, loving on myself, doing some somatic body work at certain certain energy points, tapping, shaking, right? These are all front end things that we can do physically as the back end has been cleared. And so it is a both end. It's a front and back end. It's holistic mind, body, and soul. And using all these different aspects and pieces of the puzzles to shift into a greater state of wholeness and balance. Because we're already whole and we are already in balance. The quantum field has all of everything that ever existed and ever will exist. And so there exists within you a template within your body of your idealized health template and what that looks like for your incarnation. And so being able to simply shift into that, right? Let's all close us off there. Let's do that. And as I close that off, whew, that was a lot of energy I needed to move. Whew. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Inviting in the natural consciousness of peace, unconditional love, and harmony into your vibrational escrow now, if you so choose, as you breathe. Deregulating the nervous system to peace and calm and harmony, or up leveling it if that's something that you need, to peace, calm, and harmony. Attuning it to peace, calm, and harmony now. Beautiful. I'm doing a little body shake, y'all, which helps to knock out the other energies. When you attune, it's like snapping into another grid, but you want to like release the remnants of the old energies. So I'm doing a little shake. Feel free to be with me and shake, 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 shake. Alrighty. The dogs want to shake with us as well. So I'll close this off. Thank you, wherever, whenever you are. As always, take care of yourself deeply. Whole self, mind, body, spirit, soul, emotions. Socially, environmentally. I love you. Sending you off with peace, harmony, and justice, okay? Justice.